all you awesome humans, and welcome back to my channel. I am Katt Dee, and I'm here with something super exciting. I'm here with another Disney Plus review. So if you guys aren't familiar with my reviews as of late, I have started the Wheel of Disney Plus and the Wheel of Movies. And what these are both of them on my both series on my channels that you guys really control. So I spin my wheel every week to 10 days and I pick 3 movies from my Disney Plus platform and then 3 movies from Hulu, Netflix, or Amazon Prime. Those 3 combined together, and then I review them for you. I've watched all 6 movies that I've been reviewing. 1 has been up and 5 will go up now, and then hopefully I'll get to reviewing my next Wheel of Disney Plus. So if you guys know on this video right here some things on Disney Plus that you would like to watch, well, if you want to watch them, go ahead. But if you want me to watch them and review, and go ahead and put them down in the comment section. And if you want me to shout your channel out if it lands on the wheel, please go ahead and just tell me a little bit about your channel. So let's get right into this. The Disney's Hercules is actually probably an underrated Disney movie in my opinion. It was Disney's 35th Disney animated feature film, and I think that it was probably it was very well cast voice-wise. So before I really get into deep dive into the plot of the movie, I just kind of want to go over some of the main characters with you guys. So obviously you have Hercules, and this is one of those things, one of those Disney movies that you have multiple voice artists for the person because they grow up in the film. So Hercules starts out as a baby, and then we follow him through manhood. So Hercules is actually played as a teenager by someone named Josh Keaton for the speaking voice, and then his singing voice is Roger Bart. Now, the main Hercules, the Hercules that I look at, is voiced by Tate Donovan. And you guys might not know who he is. I'm going to put a picture of Tate Donovan up here for you, who played Hercules. But he used to play in this show that I used to watch when I was way younger, called The OC, and that's who I remembered him from. I was like, oh, I know that guy, and it was from a show that I watched a long time ago. But yeah, Tate Donovan plays Hercules. And then we have Philocides. I think that's how you say it. I can't even remember. I've watched it a million times, and I'll never say that right, because they call him Phil most of the time. Now, Phil is one of my favorite characters. Not my favorite. We'll get to my favorite. But one of my favorite characters in this movie, and he is voiced by Danny Devito. And he is basically Hercules' mentor, and we'll get into what that is later. And then we have one of the most acclaimed voice works on this film, and that was James Woods, who played Hades. He did an amazing job as Hades. Now, James Woods does a lot of voice acting. I think most recently he was Lex Luthor on one of the Justice League animated series. But he's also voiced Hades and other things outside of Hercules, and he's voicing Hades in Kingdom Hearts 3 that I think just came out in 2019. So, yeah, so he did a really great job. Again, I'm putting pictures up here for you guys. Okay, so now we're getting into my favorite character, and that's Meg, and she is played by Susan Egan. Now, Susan Egan's probably not a well-known name to you guys. She wasn't a well-known name to me. For some reason, I thought that she had played in, voiced some other well-known Disney, like, features, but she has voiced other Disney things, I believe, but, none that I can recall. I should have looked it up beforehand. But she does most of her background is, like, in stage and Broadway. So that is basically her background. But Meg is definitely my favorite character. She is independent and sassy, and like, she's like, what is something that like has like a hard on the outside but soft in the middle? That's what she is. And there's a lot of things that are like that, but that's kind of what she reminds me of. I love her to death. I relate to her so much. But yeah, so Meg. So now we have our main characters. So when I talk about them, you guys will kind of know who voiced them and maybe get a better picture. So basically the plot of Hercules is basically, it's ancient Greece, and we're in a time where Zeus and his wife Hera have imprisoned the Titans underneath the ocean. So they are the rulers of the Greek gods. So you have Zeus and Hera. And they are actually celebrating this joyous event, and that is the birth of Zeus and Hera's son, Hercules. And obviously, it's a really happy day. It's a really happy time. And then Hades shows up. And Hades is a jealous younger brother, and obviously upset with the lot that he got in his life. Obviously, he wants to be the one that is ruling the gods, or the ruler of the gods. So Hades has a huge plan in mind that he wants to unleash the Titans and take over Olympus from Zeus and Hera. So he basically reaches out to the Fates, and this is not a spoiler, this is just the premise. He reaches out to the Fates, and the Fates tell him that in 18 years, the planets are going to align, and he is going to succeed in overthrowing Zeus and releasing the Titans, and he is going to become the ruler of all. And he gets all excited, and then they throw this bomb in that it's not going to happen if Hercules fights. If Hercules fights to protect Olympus, he's going to lose. So that's kind of what sets the premise off of this movie. Basically, you know, you have this newly born god, and he is the only thing that's getting in the way of Hades being able to rule Olympus 18 years from that day. So Hades decides to turn little Hercules mortal and then kill him, because you can't kill a god. Well, things don't go to plan, and Hercules doesn't end up becoming completely human. And that's kind of where our story is. So side note, while I'm talking about this, two really awesome, like, little villain side characters, like probably two of the cutest, funniest, weirdest characters in all Disney history, Pain and Panic, are the ones that were supposed to dispose of Hercules. It really threw in a kind of where the hyenas were supposed to dispose of Simba, and it didn't work out, or in The Emperor's New Groove, where Kronk was supposed to put the poison in to kill Cusco, and that didn't work out. It's kind of that same kind of plot device, to where the baby was something was supposed to happen, the baby was supposed to unfortunately die, but he didn't. So he found himself on Earth, and he was mortal, and he was found and adopted by two farmers, Amphitryon, and I think her name is Alcmene or something like that, and so that's where we're at. And then it jumps way forward, and this is really not a spoiler, this is kind of setting up the movie, right? And then Hercules becomes a teenager, finds out that, because he doesn't fit in, he has super strength, so stuff happens, people get upset with him, and he finds out that he's actually the son of Zeus. So the entire movie, he's trying to become a hero in order to regain his god status, to go back to Olympus where he thinks he belongs. Long story, but that's kind of what Hercules is. With that being said, they did a wonderful job with this movie. It's one of those movies that I feel like the first time you watch it, you might not love it, but the more you watch it, you really, really see, like, the amazing job that all of these voice actors did with these characters. The storyline is actually really good and compelling. It has a plot device. It has a villain. Some of the other movies that are getting a lot of praise right now, even me, that I love, fall a little short in, like, the plot, villain, climax area. One of my most watched movies right now that I'll probably end up reviewing at some point is Frozen 2. Now, while I love the music and the cast in Frozen 2, it is not as strong as a movie plot-wise as Hercules or a lot of the other Disney movies out there. So basically, that's what the movie's about, what I thought about it. So Meg, who I've mentioned earlier as one of my favorite characters, is actually the damsel in distress in this movie. And come to find out, she is working with Hades. You find that out really early on. I won't dive into details on how, but obviously there's a a love story in this movie. There's the, you know, the outcast becoming the hero story, like trajectory in this movie. So the formula of voice actors and music and storyline, I think I said that. What did I say? If I repeated myself, I am so sorry. It's a really good combination of like a really good mix, and I really enjoyed this. I would definitely give this a 4 out of 5 stars or 4 out of 5 Mickeys, if that's how I'm rating it. Music wise, it's definitely a 4 out of 5. I think story wise, it's definitely a 4 out of 5. It's just a 4 out of 5. I think the character work or the voice acting is definitely a 5 out of 5, but it averages, we'll call it a 4 out of 5. It's not my favorite Disney movie, but it's definitely one I would recommend to people who don't normally watch Disney movies to get out there and watch. And if you're a male and find that Disney movies are kind of like frou-frou and girly and princesses and whatever, I feel like this is a movie that everyone will enjoy. So yeah, so I'm going to get into spoilers now. I really want to deep dive into some of the things that I loved about this movie. I hope that for those of you who haven't watched it, I kind of gave you an outline of what you'd be expecting, and kind of like the storyline behind it. I know that my reviews aren't perfect yet, but I am going to be working on them, and hopefully as we go through this process, me reviewing things will become easier for me and hopefully more enjoyable for you. If you guys have some constructive criticism, if you would like to know more about specific parts of the movies that I'm not disclosing at this time, please just let me know of more what aspect of the movies you would like to know about. Okay, so we're getting into the spoilers. So if you don't want to be a part of this, please bye-bye. Love you guys in 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome to my favorite part of the video, where I can totally talk about everything that I loved in this movie. So, like I mentioned, Meg is one of my favorite characters in this movie, and you find out right off the bat of what a strong character that she is. Like I said, that she plays this damsel in distress, but it's because she's trying to work off this debt that she has with Hades. And in order to work off the debt, she has to trick Hercules into doing all these things, almost propelling him into these situations to where he could get hurt or potentially killed. Obviously the love story comes into effect where you find Meg's falling for Hercules because Hercules is a genuine nice guy. Like throughout the whole movie, he is, while sometimes a little big-headed, he is genuinely nice and he genuinely falls for Meg. And through the movie, this entire movie, Meg's trying to find Hercules' weakness or his Achilles heel, which comes up in the movie, and she can't find any. There is none. He doesn't mention any. And then Hades realizes that obviously Meg, or Hercules' love for Meg, is his Achilles heel. I loved this. I loved the way that it just kind of organically involved. It wasn't an instant love. It was a hate to love. Well, not really hate to love. It kind of felt kind of like hate to love. She didn't really hate Hercules. I think that she had, because of her past, she had a hate for men in some kind of way. So that was a really good part of the movie. I loved Meg's song. It's on my like Spotify playlist. I have some certain Disney songs on there. The song that Meg sings is one that I have on there. One of the songs in this movie actually was nominated for an Academy Award. It didn't win, but it was the Outcast song that Hercules sang. But it didn't win, but it was nominated. Other than that, some other things that I loved in this movie. How many of you guys love the fact that there was a flying horse in this movie? Oh my gosh, Pegasus, you know, Hercules' like best friend, and I love how Zeus made him. I love that Zeus just picked things out of clouds and made this wonderful little Pegasus that was supposed to grow up with Hercules, and when they got back together, because they didn't, you know, they were split apart when Hercules was you know, cast down to earth and almost killed. And they met back up when he was a teenager, and they just fell back into the best friendship, and I just love that so much. I just loved all the characters. I thought James Woods did an amazing job as Hades. I think one of the best things that Disney used to do really well, that I feel like, I'm going to be completely honest, I love Disney, but they used to have some amazing villains in their movies. You know, you're talking about Cruella, Ursula, Hades, you know, Maleficent. I mean, some amazing villains. Now, to make that, why that's so important, a villain can make a movie. Like, Sleeping Beauty is not one of the best Disney movies out there. It is probably, in my opinion, one of the more slow-going, kind of boring at some parts Disney movies. While I still love the movie because I love the characters, I love the fairies, I love the villain, and Sleeping Beauty is something that I love. I know the masses think that of what I just said. It's not one of the best Disney movies out there. And but because of the villain in that movie, Maleficent, it holds this candle. She has become one of the most popular Disney villains out there. And that's how important a Disney villain is. Like, there are people that like going for the underdogs. Like, my favorite character in Sleeping Beauty is Maleficent. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But then you have Madame Mim in The Sword and the Stone, another movie that's very underrated, a very great movie. Someone should recommend that. I would love to talk about Sword and the Stone. But another great villain. I think the best villain as of recently was probably Mother Gothel in Tangled. But like I said, I think they're lacking in the villain department. It's getting a little too flowery for me, but kids love it. So I grew up, you know, when I was younger, I went to the movie theater and I watched Pet Sematary. So maybe I'm just a little twisted. But yeah, so the villain in this was great. It was great to have a really good villain. But that was definitely an era to where you had that. I mean, this was 1997 and we're in 2020 now. So, I mean, this was, what, 23 years ago. So, I mean, there's a big difference. What else? So that's really kind of what I did. Love the storyline, love the voice acting, love the fact that, you know, you have this best friend aspect. Oh my gosh, let's talk about Danny DeVito. Okay, so I hope some of you guys are still here because I would really like to talk about Danny DeVito and his character that he played, Phil. Do they not look extremely similar? Now, the inspiration came from Bacchus and Fantasia and Grumpy from Snow White. And that's what they said their inspiration for what Phil looked like. And I think that they just looked at Danny DeVito and said, let's make him into this Danny DeVito type character. And I just think they did a wonderful job. He was definitely a very funny, very grumpy character in the movie. So yeah, that was kind of like really what I loved about Disney's Hercules. What I didn't like, I mean, there's not really nothing that I really didn't like was like, oh, I can't believe they did that, or I don't really have anything negative to say about it. It just, there are some things that weren't as good as some of my favorites. There are probably some holes in it that I didn't, you know, that sometimes I feel like I'm a little biased with Disney movies, but that's it. I mean, that it is what it is. Words are hard, guys. This is hard. Talking to a camera and trying to tell you and articulate my feelings on something is really, really hard. And all of you guys that do this on a regular basis, try to articulate the way that you feel about a book, a movie, anything, kudos to you, because seriously, the people that give you crap or if you say something wrong, shame on them, because this is really hard. And if you don't think it's hard, you should get in front of a camera and try it. It is fun, but it is hard. Anyway, so that's what I thought about Disney's Hercules. I can't wait until I review more from Disney Plus. Like I said, you guys, please put down in the down bar some more Disney movies that you would be interested in me talking about. I would like to ask a question or post the question. Did you like when I told you about the characters ahead of time, or would you prefer I talk about the plot and then the characters as I bring them up? You guys let me know. Anyway, I'm Katt Dee, guys. Please give this video a big thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. Bye!